Guys, you will not believe what happened. This was one of the most off-guard catching moments I've ever had in my entire collection. So my male cascabel bit his own lip. I mean, how freaking crazy is that? So the original video I took of this was so confusing because, right guys, I was caught off guard like you would not believe. So I did a little voiceover trying to make sense of it, and yeah, without me continuing on, let me explain that. Well, let me show you guys that clip with the voiceover and me explaining what we're gonna do, and then after all of that, I'm gonna give you guys an update on that male a couple of days later. Alright guys, so the original audio of this video came out pretty bad, so we're gonna be voiceovering a decent bit of this video. So here's a little close-up for you guys. Well, a little too close there, but here's a little close-up for you guys of the cascabel rattlesnake that we're going to be assessing today. As you guys can see, that entire mouth looks inflamed at the front. Very, very weird. It's swollen up and everything. Julian is here in this very same video. You guys have seen Julian multiple times on the channel. He's just here to help me hold her down. As you guys will see in a few seconds what we're actually going to have to do. So I remember here we were thinking that, well, the best way to find out what is actually going on with this female would be to take her out, pin her down unfortunately, and open up her mouth so we can see what actually is going on in. Now that she's out and on the table, I took over the hook because obviously, you know, when you guys are necking anything or if you have to pin anything, you really want to be in full control of everything as it happens, like it happens. And then so I gently, very, very gently pin her behind a little DIY sponge and broom pin I made. So I just cut the bristles off the broom and then used a little contact cement with a big sponge and then adhered that onto the broom piece. This is just a less invasive way. It's still pretty invasive, but it is a less invasive way of actually pinning the snake without you injuring yourself or putting yourself at risk. Obviously, there's still massive risk with this, but you know, it does lessen the chances of you actually getting into the bite zone. So now that we've got our pin and secured, as I'm explaining to you guys here probably on the video, that I'm going to see if I can open up that mouth and see what is the actual cause of that swelling. So now that the mouth is open, I'm doing this very gently, guys. So even though on the video everything's happening in real time and it looks pretty rough, I am doing this very gently, and I'll circle it for you guys in the video quickly. But on the left side of that jaw, we saw a little puncture mark, and that's where we actually decided, you know what, he actually bit himself. I mean, how freaking ridiculous is that? So I'm just cleaning all the blood that's coming out around that thing, around the wound, so that I can just have a better look at it. And yeah, this is where I definitely realized that that mouth is punctured via his own fang. How absolutely freaking crazy is that? Alright, now as we're going, sorry guys, this does look very graphic and it does look like we're putting the snake under a tremendous amount of pain and stress. And there might be a fair bit of truth, and you know, we might be putting the snake under some stress, but we really need to open up that mouth to inspect it all to make sure everything's still clean, that there's no stomatitis possibly setting in. So yeah, even though, yeah, okay, so there you guys can see right where the hook's coming in. You can actually see how inflamed the bottom jaw is, and that inflammation is starting on the left side and move to the right. So that's what we're trying to counter. So now that we could better see, we still decided, you know, to clean it up a bit more. And once it was clean to the point of our liking, we're actually just gonna let her be. Alright, so eventually after working around with the cotton swabs, we decided it's time to just rinse out the mouth. And for this, I just use saline and a injector. Not an injection. I use an injection and just gently try to wash out as much as the blood and the gunk and things like that. But actually here on the left side, you guys can very clearly see where that fang penetrated in, which is basically where I just sprayed some saline right there on that very second. So yeah, all in all, this was a big shocker. I'm still not too sure what actually happened when he bit through his mouth, but the consensus or the thesis that we have behind this is that he bit through his mouth. Alright guys, so this is kind of the bad part about keeping snakes. So let me clean up here while I talk to you guys. So this is kind of one of the not so lekker parts about keeping snakes, especially if your collection actually starts growing, you start having a large amount of snakes. It's not that you're a bad keeper or that you're practicing bad husbandry, it's just that the probability of things, big word for an Afrikaans guy, right? So the probability of things going wrong obviously just increases. So your percentage of something going wrong ratio is higher when you have multiple animals. So yeah, it's one of those things, guys. I mean, this is what you've got to be prepared for, especially if you keep venomous stuff and snakes like that. You've got to be prepared for things like this. No one likes dealing with this. But yeah, that is what it is. So tomorrow I'll actually be setting up a sterile environment for him. I've got these enclosures here at the top. So I'll clean it out, make it sterile, keep him in a bare minimum setup, so I can monitor that mouth and make sure that that mouth doesn't get infection. So we have inflammation there, but we do not have infection yet. And we want to prevent infection from spreading into that. So yeah guys, definitely not a fun video. Can't share much info in regards to this with you guys. I'll obviously talk to some people, get some more opinions on this, because both Jerry and I are actually baffled by this. I have not yet come across anything like this before. I have come across swollen glands, and well, not swollen glands, but I mean swollen sheaths, fang sheaths and things like that. But I've never seen that extent of a lower part. I mean, did you see that puncture mark? Yeah, it's ridiculous. I actually don't know what's up there. So, all right, now I'm not exactly sure how many days later it is, but here is that same cascable male, and his mouth is looking way better. In fact, he's actually head bobbing, sniffing out some rodents, possibly hungry to eat. So we'll offer him something to eat, see if he's going to take it, because he definitely looks keen on a meal. I'm just going to step a bit back here because he's got a crazy strike reach. But yeah, in any case, so let me show you guys what I did. I took an old blacked out tub, sterilized it, cut a little hole in it with the soldering iron, and allowed that from a hiding space on the heat. And then I just added an extremely large but flat surface of water so that he can still stay hydrated and all of that. But yeah, all in all, he's actually looking really well. I'd say he's made about 100% recovery. So all that panic was absolutely 100% for nothing. But yeah, I guess that's the joys of keeping snakes. So I'm currently de-thawing him a rat. So let's get that de-thawed and then we offer that meal to him. His meal's de-thawed, so let's have a look and see if he is actually hungry. Oh, he definitely looks interested. Oh, shoot! I got a massive fright.
guys know I love you. You guys know I appreciate you. Peace out.